All right, everybody, thank you. Welcome back to the Not Quite Everyday Dan. I have another esteemed guest today, and that is Matt Fitzgerald with Knafs. And man, just jumping right in, tell us, you want to introduce yourself? Tell us about yourself.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great. So I'm Matt Fitzgerald. It's a little bit confusing. We have two Matts at NAFS. So I am the one who does product design and development, and there's another
Mhm.
Matt who is our operations manager. He's pretty
Oh,
behind the scenes, but every now and then it gets a little confusing.
right.
Um, so yeah, I've been at NAFS for 2.5 years. Yeah, a little
Okay.
over that now. So it's
Okay.
been a little while. If you count contracting work, I'm the longest tenured employee. Um,
Oh,
Without that, I'm like the second longest. Jen's been here longer than me. So
so like, how did you come to NAFs kind of
yeah,
thing?
that's actually a really good story. That's a great place to start. Um, so I went to college for outdoor product design and development. It's kind of a unique program that is focused on like industrial design, but we also do some clothing design. And so I was in my second, no, I had just finished my first year, and it was like the summer in between semesters, and I was living at home with my parents. And my dad ran into Ben. Ben had recently moved into our neighborhood. I didn't know who he
Hmm.
was or anything, neither did my dad. And he ran into him at like a Jiffy Lube,
Hmm.
and they were both getting their oil changed. So they started chatting and found out they lived in the same neighborhood. And Ben was like, telling my dad what he does. He runs a pocket knife company, been in the pocket knife industry for a long time. And my dad was like, "Oh, well, my son is a product design student. Like, if you ever need anything done, like, let me know." And Ben was like, "Well, I'm actually working on this project, and I could use some 3D modeling." And so that was the bit driver. So me and my dad like went over to his garage. This is back when he was in the garage, and we, saw his little tiny operation, checked everything out, and that was the first project I did for NAFS.
Oh my, I did not, that is awesome.
Yeah.
So, and then from there on out, you just kind of right from there. Were
Yeah.
you?
From there, so I did that one project.
Mhm.
That was in the summer, and then I went back to school, and I didn't really hear from Ben. We got the project done; it was good. And right as school was finishing, so the next spring, he was like, "Hey, do you know any seniors in your program that would want to come work for NAFS?" And I was like, "I'm a sophomore, but I would love to." So
You're like, uh, me,
yeah, definitely. I was
dude.
like, I'll do it. So we just did kind of like a trial basis thing. So I went and worked
Mhm.
in his garage for about a month, and then we got shop, worked there during the summer. And then when the summer was up, I stayed on part-time and remote. So
Dude, that's awesome. So, like obviously, NAFS being like a pocket knife company, everything. Were you a knife guy before you came?
it's a good question. So this may be blasphemous. I hope people aren't mad about this, but no, I was not a pocket knife guy at all. Um, I had pocket knives. I grew up in Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts, and I liked pocket knives. When I was a kid,
Mhm.
I liked to collect them, but kind of, moved on to other hobbies and lost track of the knife world. And then as soon as I started an apps, I was like, okay, I could really get into this. So I'm a full-fledged knife fanatic, knife collector now. So
You're all in now.
I'm in
Um,
deep. Yeah. Yeah.
See, I've always been kind of like always been into knives just because like for me growing up, we lived in rural Pennsylvania. So like,
Mhm.
and my dad is the least sportsman person. Like I didn't watch a football game till I went to college.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
and so like our sports were hunting and fishing and that was it. So like pocket
Cool.
knives were just always there, but they were always like the chintzy, like gas station type
Hmm.
knives.
Yep.
I think my first like decent high-end knife was the Benchmade Bug Out.
Cool. Okay.
And that
Yeah,
was
I was
like,
kind of the same way.
yeah,
You know, like Cub Scout knives are not quality most of the time.
I loved the episode that the Naps at Night where they talked about that.
Hmm.
I was looking at, I was like, you know what, these would have all been knives. Like as a kid, I would
Oh yeah.
100% like, I want that and that and that.
Yep.
But yeah, that was the end of it. Once I got the bug out, that was kind of like the beginning. And then I sold a bunch of stuff. I had like a really big
Mhm.
collection. I sold most of it at one point to pay for my first pistol. And then,
Okay.
and then I think too, it's like you could either be the person that like buys them all the time or like you just kind of like they come to you semi-strategically.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to
So,
be more that way, every now and
mhm.
then I buy a knife and it's a very specific one. Or, we're lucky enough now, like I get to go to blade shows. And so every
Oh
now and then
yeah.
someone will give you a knife and that's really special, like you'd never get rid of those. So yeah,
Mm.
just grew up with a lot of gas station knives. Like you said, like I have one, I remember I bought it because it had like flames printed on the blade. I was like, well, that's awesome. I'm gonna need that.
What is it with guys? Let's be honest, like as especially as a kid, if there's or okay, adults too, like if something has flames on it, there is
Oh
just
yeah.
a
Sold.
literal I so here's the thing though too, like your first is we'll touch on this a little bit more, but your knife, you
Mm.
guys don't there is no flame design.
No flames. Yeah, we need some flames or some camo or something.
Well, I was gonna say you have the CNC machines now,
Hmm.
and laser
True.
print, you guys gotta get like a laser printing and then you could do like the laser printed that way.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, we have a laser engraver. It could be
ah,
done.
Now
Could
this
be
is a
done.
side comment, but I started seeing on Knafs now where you can like spend a little bit extra, have Ben sign knives. Is that using like an engraver that he does that?
So I think we've only done that on Kickstarters
Oh.
because he did, I think for the, let me think. I think it was the Lander 3. No, it was Lander 4
Mm,
where we said, okay, Ben will sign your knife. And that Kickstarter did way better than we thought it would. So he spent a lot of time with a Dremel
hmm.
signing knives individually. Because yeah, it's not a laser engraving. He really signs them.
Wow. That I mean
Yeah,
that's amazing. So that's a
yeah.
definite like personal touch there. But
When I volunteered to do it with the OCT, I was like, I want to do everything I can to make sure this campaign is successful. If you guys want, like, we can put that feature in, like, Fitz sign my
mhm.
knife. And Ben was like, dude, I think I got carpal tunnel when I did that. I don't think you really want to do that.
Well, I mean clearly, I mean what you did on the Kickstarter worked because you're fully funded and
Yeah.
everything,
Yep.
which is super awesome. Like, I think at this point now, this is has any of the NAFs, I think all of them have been fully funded from the get-go pretty much at this
Yep.
point. So you guys have generally, like, NAFs has hit it out of the park every single time.
Yeah, we've been very lucky and blessed. I mean, all of our Kickstarters have gone very well. I would have been very sad if this was the first one that didn't make it.
Well,
So
fortunately,
yeah, very happy with how it went.
well, and it was great with the teasers too, like the Instagram teasers and stuff, where you're like showing like you guys are showing like these little
Yep.
bits and pieces of like, wait a minute, is that a button lock?
Yeah.
Um, which again, like I love the idea of the button lock. I don't own any button lock knives yet.
Okay.
The OCT may be my first, so it's
Cool.
like top of the list because and also too design wise too. You and we'll come back to that. So I don't want to jump too far ahead. So we'll
Yeah.
come back to that. But my question, we kind of talked about how you guys cross with NAFs and everything, but when we talked
Mhm.
about designing, so like if and as a designer, if we had to sum up your personality as and I'm going to give you a couple options. So either a flavor, a weather pattern, or a movie genre,
Hmm.
what would it be to sum up you as a
Okay.
designer?
I'm gonna go 2 out of the 3. So weather pattern. Do you remember? This is kind of a weird description. In Toy Story, there's like all these like perfectly fluffy, like uniform clouds in the blue sky. It's like
Oh,
really beautiful. I think it's like on his wallpaper or something.
yeah, yeah, I think it is. Yeah. It's been a while,
So
but
every now and then when there's like really nice fluffy clouds and they're just like everywhere, I'm like, oh, those are Toy Story clouds. So if I had to decide, if I had to, you know, assign a weather pattern with my design personality, that's what I would say. And then movie style, movie genre. I love Wes Anderson. So
mm,
he created Fantastic Mr. Fox and Asteroid City and Grand Budapest Hotel. They're just like really beautiful films to watch.
mhm,
Like sometimes I think Fantastic Mr. Fox has a really good story. Some of the other ones, the story is good, but just
mhm.
the visuals are. incredible. Everything's kind of coordinated and very like
Mhm.
monochromatic. And I think he does it in a way where like you never lose sight that it's a movie, but the
Mhm.
movie is so cool you don't care, you know? So
There's
that's kind of I don't know if that made any sense, but that's how I would describe it.
It does. I was gonna say, in his movies, there's like when you watch it, once you kind of like start to be familiar with his movies, it just
Hmm.
kind of it's like you see the trailer before they tell you what it is, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, Wes
Yeah.
Anderson.
That's him
That's
for sure.
Which is a good thing. I mean, and movies are a ton of fun. I know a lot of people talk about being movie critics and just creativity of film. There's
Hmm.
a lot that's still there. I mean, also, I mean, if we go into the sci-fi genre of film, there's enough ideas there that we can borrow from our
Yeah.
not for knives.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I told my wife, I said, my goal someday I said, someday I want to design a knife to be sold. And
Yeah.
she's like, haven't they run out of ideas for knife designs yet? I was like, surprisingly, no. We people just, no matter what, there's always going to
Yeah.
be something new. She's like, wow, okay then. She's like, all right then. I don't
It
know
is
how
kind of
long of a
amazing.
road.
Yeah. I mean, knives have been around for tens of thousands of years and we still find a way to make them unique and different. We always talk
Mhm.
about it in apps like how can we be 1% better? We don't need to reinvent the wheel. You're
Right.
not going to reinvent the knife. So how can you just make it a little tiny bit better?
Well, it's like I think in Atomic Habits, James Clear talks about
Mm.
you just want to be
Yep.
1% better. And if
Yeah.
you look at that, the overarching, like if you do 1% cumulatively, that's going to create a massive change.
Yeah. Definitely.
Which is what you guys have. I mean, if you look at Knafs, it's really like any one of their knives. Like, I have my Lander 2
Nice.
Space Kitty, and
Hobo
like
clip too. I like it.
I at first I was like, should I go switch back to the black one? But I was like, topographic makes me think of like the moon and everything. I was
Yeah.
like, but they're like this knife was like that you guys didn't do. You're not the first person to do like the clutch lock
Yep.
or other thing. But the thing is, the stuff cumulatively, not only is the knife just overall an awesome knife, but you take in like these ideas that other people have used,
Mm.
and the package is so nice. It's like for me,
Thank you.
this has never left my this is legit. Like I have other knives I could carry that are nice
Yeah.
knives, but like I love the Lander too. That's
Cool.
always what's in the pocket.
It's
And
funny you
that's
mentioned that because I was
Mhm.
looking at reviews today. I like to read the reviews to see what people are saying about the knives.
Mhm.
And we just did that Jeremy Sires Lander too.
Oh
And
yeah.
there was a guy, he commented on his review. He was like, this knife may have ruined knives for me. It's all I carry. It's all I want to carry. I don't need anything else now. And I was like, that's really cool. Like that's such a great compliment. But I hope you can still collect and have fun, you know?
Still, well, I mean, you think about it too. Like, I think even Jeremy Sayers in his two EDC videos, like the two most recent ones,
Mhm.
both of the pocket knives, it's been the Lander 2, his
Yep.
version. And he makes a comment, he's like, I gotta switch this out. You guys are gonna get bored. But I was like, but like when you jive with that knife, it's like I have a buddy who just bought his first Knafs knife. He bought the Lander
Cool.
4.
Okay.
And he's like, this is a great, he's like, I like this knife. And he bought it too because he's like, I need to support this company because he listened to the interview with Ben.
Awesome.
So maybe,
Cool.
hopefully, he listens to this one. He'll buy another one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Let's get him an OCT.
hey, I mean, he and I've talked about it, and he's got some older knives and everything. I was like, and we were
Mm.
talking about just design and things like that. It's just such a rabbit hole. Like when you start to talk about like the
Yeah.
ideas and all of it.
Oh,
Now,
definitely. Well, and like I've had the privilege of, I get to give people a lot of knives because I
mhm,
work at NAF, so I get a good employee discount. And
yeah,
it's just so fun to watch. Like I have friends who are definitely outdoorsmen or,
mhm,
they're interested in this kind of stuff, but they've never really dove in. So you give
right.
them one knife and it's like, oh, this is what a nice knife is like,
Hmm.
It's
It
eye-opening.
it just goes right down, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, yeah, it's just the rabbit hole. So we kind of like look at, you're a bit, you're kind of coming out of college and everything. So was there a moment in your life? I mean, and we're talking like could be a really big moment, maybe a small moment that kind of really kind of helped shape how you approach design.
A good question. I mean, like specifically with knife design, like I'm definitely I've definitely been mentored a lot by Ben.
Hmm.
Um, like I kind of came in with fresh eyes, which is good, um, coming from other types of design. But he really has kind of shaped like you need to have a deep pocket or deep carry pocket clip. You need to have this.
Hmm.
It needs to, so certain aspects it's definitely come from Ben. But specific times in my life, probably, I mean, kind of the pinnacle for me was probably high school,
Hmm.
my senior year. I was like in student council and my position was artist. So I was student body
Hmm.
officer artist. And it was really cool because I actually got the responsibility of like running the school store. So they
Oh.
kind of handed the keys over and they were like, you have a budget, we need product, make what you want. So I got to design like the clothes and the stuff we sold. And it was kind of like, oh, this is awesome. Like, I really like this. And then, so that was like getting into design, the pinnacle. And then in college, I guess what kind of really defines like my design language is the way my program worked. 2 years in, you have to submit a portfolio. You have to, create a line of products and show them to a board. And they kind of say, like, okay, you're qualified to continue the program or you're not. You have to matriculate. It's actually really competitive. And so it was very stressful. And so
Hmm.
for my project, I made 4 different products and I really love the way those turned out. And that's kind of I would look to those to say like, okay, this is what defines me
Hmm.
and how I design, I guess.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it speaks a lot too when it comes to designers. Like every designer has a particular, well, it's like the Wes Anderson style. Like every
Yeah. Hmm.
designer, each of you has like a particular language that you adhere that like this is the vibe. Like we look at
Definitely.
Ben's knives and his vibe, or then we look at someone like Ken Onion and his designs,
Yeah.
or like Burnley. Like everybody's got like particular where you can almost like see a knife and you'd be like, oh, that's so and so kind of thing. It's whereas it's a little bit different. Whereas like maybe we look at something like Benchmade where there's not particular. I'm sure there's particular individuals that work with something like that, but there's less of a design language other
Yeah.
in like particular certain like companies like that. And so it seems to be like the smaller companies have this creativity that vibes, and I think that's what makes it even more human. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but like there's a level of groundedness to it. I don't know. I'm also like an indie gamer and I love like indie titles over the AAA titles. So like I look at like a lot of times like like Knafs makes me gives me the vibe of like the indie game
Yeah.
community
Yeah. That's a good way to
where
describe it.
yeah, it's I'm not gonna say quite scrappy, but like there's this level of like indie developers tend to like mess around and like do stuff that like you're like I don't know if that, and then you play with it and you're like, oh, this is actually like super amazing. And so like
Yeah.
that seems to be where NAF is like the indie developer. Although, a NAF's video that'd be a very like I could see it as one of those like point and click games where you're like designing knives
Oh,
or
yeah.
something.
Well, that'd be fun. And even just like, I don't know, like I feel like Titanium kind of does a lot of that, like retro video game inspired
Oh yeah.
product photos. I love when they do stuff like that. And then we've done the Wii Remote knives, which were really fun.
They
I
were
really
like
love those too.
I was showing that to I don't know who I was showing. It was like one of the teenagers in the youth group and they're like,
Hmm.
that's a weird I'm like, yes. But yeah, I love the Flight Team arcade or like the arcade
Yeah.
light that they have now and the color
Yep.
schemes. Like the retro gamer in me is like, oh my goodness, I'm like, there's my NC my the atomic purple game, N64, things like that. And you're
Yep.
like, and so there's something too where you're like pulling in on this awesome retro vibe kind of thing.
Yeah, and I
But
think like you were talking about like indie, like we kind of do have that niche feel. Like we're kind of, we're not a CRKT or a Kershaw, but we kind of have, a smaller vibe to us. And because of that, the attention to detail has to be really good. And
mhm,
we might make something that a bigger company might not, which in some ways
mhm,
is really fun, especially for me. I get to have these
right.
smaller projects that are really kind of, maybe more for the community or just a small
Mhm.
run, and we just have a lot of fun with them. So
Which is, I mean, and now when it comes to the project, how many projects in total so far have you done with NAFs? Because I know the OCST is kind of
man,
like your first thing there, but like we talk at like your portfolio, so to speak. How big is that now?
that's a really good question, but it's almost impossible to answer. I mean, we have like a project management software, and I'm looking at it over here on my other screen, and there's so many. Because like,
Hmm.
so I am a designer, but a lot of probably most of what I do is really development. So,
Okay.
um, very, very little of my time is actually spent like sketching or 3D modeling. Most of it is taking those designs and bringing them to market. So I work
Hmm.
with our suppliers overseas a lot, and you know,
Right.
our operations manager Matt, and yeah. So projects that I've worked on, I mean, most of the products for the last 2.5 years I've touched. Um, but yeah, stuff that I've designed, it's much less actually.
Hmm.
And then like I kind of poked fun at this in my Knafs at Night episode. As far as knives that I've designed, it's actually a lot more than the OCT, but you know,
Oh.
they're not released yet. So it's kind of yeah, it's kind of fun.
We'll have to circle back to that because there actually
Yeah.
is a audience question that's related to that, which
Okay.
I have a
Cool.
guess of what you're going to say to it, but I'm still going to, so outside of knives, obviously, is there something like what's something that you like to work on or tinker with that kind of scratches that creative itch for you? Or like,
Like
first off, do you have something like that?
yes. Oh yeah. I mean,
Oh.
I have so many hobbies, Dan. Like it's a problem. I don't have enough time to devote to each one. You know, they get neglected. Um, most of the stuff that scratches that itch, I would say that I really started off as an artist and
Mm,
I've kind of developed into a designer. So growing up, I was always drawing, painting. I even did like a little bit of sculpting and woodworking. I don't really do that anymore. But yeah, a lot of drawing still. I love to create. A little bit of woodworking with my dad.
mhm.
I have a big 3D printer. I just got an AMS Lite for my Bamboo A1, so I'm figuring out multicolored prints. Mm, Love to spend time outdoors, so
Mhm.
that really helps. Like that really helps with design. Honestly, is going out and going for a run or a hike or mountain biking. You know, we're here in Utah, so we've got great mountains, and I spend a lot of time up there. So there's yeah, I could go on and on. I love to do graphic design, you know, designing posters, stuff like
Mhm.
that. So
So you have the gamut of kind of, yeah, I was like, see, well, the thing is too is like hobbies. It's great to have hobbies too because I think it's
hmm
you can recharge and everything. Like, I have my, and I looked at too. I was like when I was because this is basically like that half of my this is my bedroom and this is like my
uh,
workspace. So there's like a
cool.
the large design quality of this house of this room is my wife's design because she's the interior decorators thing. There's like a
hmm
couple things where I've got like my Link amiibo and stuff like the little nerdy things.
Yeah,
After next month, my Lego Game Boy will be in there as well once that comes
nice.
in the mail because I mean, come on, like a Lego
Legos need to
game.
be displayed.
And they sent it and I saw this model. I was like, oh man, it's the Game Boy. I'm like, I can't not. I haven't ordered a new Lego set. It's been like 20 years since I bought a new Lego. So I'm
Oh
like, okay.
man.
It's my daughter's. Now all my Legos have gone to my daughter now, and she's the
Oh,
one that's doing all kinds of stuff, and she's the
hmm
musician and the math whiz and
Cool.
stuff. She's not well, she's a knife person in the sense that like we go on vacation. She's like, Dad, can I go whittle? Here you go. She doesn't have her
Perfect.
own
Yeah.
knife. Yeah, she doesn't have her own knife yet, but
Oh.
I know exactly which one it's going to be. At first I thought it was going to be, I think I told Ben I wanted to give her like a Lander 5, but then I was like,
Mhm.
no, it's got to be more like, and I think it'll be probably like the Lander 3 with the cat scales
Cool.
because
Yeah.
you can't see, my cat's not here, but I'm a cat person through and through.
Cool.
My daughter's a cat person, so I'm like,
Yep.
that'll be
Gotta
just,
have the space kitties.
yes. I mean, and it's funny. I think didn't happen in my last interview with Brantley, but like I think when Ben and I were interviewing, my cat was like at me for like a portion of she's like sitting next to my chair, like meowing. I'm like, stop it.
Needs
I'm like,
attention right now.
yeah, I was like, okay, fine. And so I like kind of like pulling my chair out just enough so she can
Mhm.
jump up. I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's go. And because that's what she'll do is I'll be at work, I'll be on here working, I'll be in a meeting or something, and she'll be sitting here. I'm like, ah, like just get up. And then she'll
Yeah.
jump up on the desk and then stand in front of the camera. I'm like, all right, no, I have to like be professional. I may be working from home, but I still have to like be professional.
Yeah.
The
It's
whole like,
crazy how much those like space kitties connect with people, you know? Like I hope that your daughter loves the knife because of them, because I've like my friends and cousins, they're all like, they don't know anything about knives. They're like, they see the Space Kitty scales at the
Mhm.
t-shirts. They're like, I need one of those.
I have showed people this knife that are 100% not knife people, and they like
Hmm.
look at it and they're like, oh, like I've
Yeah,
showed like there's different people that I work with just in what I do where I'm like, oh, you should see this. That are cat people. They see this and they're like, that is the coolest thing ever. And then also it
yeah,
serves in this nice thing where it makes it look like a little bit less like I'm gonna stab someone in the throat kind of thing, and more
yep.
like, oh, it's cats.
Well, and
Because
it's just crazy to me, like going to design school, like everything is very serious. We talk about minimalism and Gestalt theory and all this very serious stuff. And sometimes what connects with people is like a chubby cat in space. Like, so it's hilarious to me that you can take it so seriously, but a lot of times you should just have some fun with it, and that's what will resonate with people better.
Well, it comes back on that like customization, that like personalization. Like some guys like this Jeremy Sears knife, this is my
Hmm.
knife. And that's the
Yeah.
thing, the like Carta, all of that, that's for them. But then somebody's like, listen, I want cats on this knife.
Yeah.
And now the only thing too, I want a Lander 4 eventually, but there's no Space Kitty scales on that one yet. So I'm like, somebody's got to make
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah. We
I,
we might figure it out eventually. The problem with it is I actually have one right here. The scales on the Lander 4
oh,
are rounded, and you can't UV
uh,
print on rounded scales. So we've been debating recently, like, do we do a new version with flat G10 scales, which would
mm,
have slightly different sheath, or do we never do it? Do we do it with a leather sheath? So
oh
yeah,
man.
if you
Well,
guys are listening or watching, let me know if you think it's worth it.
this could be, and again, bear in mind, this may be a dumb idea, and you could tell me it's dumb. Obviously, if it was flat, and then you did like layers of clear over top of it to give it the curve, would
Mhm.
something like that be realistic, or is that with G10 and everything, is something like that? Would you risk on the possibility that those pieces would separate?
I don't know. I've never even thought about that, honestly. Yeah, I don't know. I think it would have to be like a line extension
Hmm.
that had flat G10 scales, which it would be fine. It's totally doable. You just would never be able to use a different sheath that had the rounded scales. So that's where it
Okay.
kind of runs into a problem.
You have to
But
take it or leave it kind of thing.
yeah, yep.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, and 3D printing too, that's the other thing too, is like, well, being in the Moon Crew, and obviously like you're
Hmm.
the top contributor. I just got like my first like mark of being like a rising star now.
Nice. Cool.
I was like, wow, I guess I post in here a lot now. But like the 3D printing, like the overland that
Yeah.
Adam with this thing,
Hmm.
which, shout out to Adam. I'm gonna
Oh,
put
you've got one. Cool.
Oh, dude, this
Nice.
is um there is something about this that is like so incredibly satisfying.
Satisfying. Cool.
Like it was very funny. Like on Sunday, I lead a small group in our church. And so afterwards we were hanging out and I was just sitting here, like sitting listening to everybody talk. And one of the group members, they're like, Dan, do you like always have a fidget toy with you? I was like, yes.
Maybe. Is that
Pretty
okay?
I was like, pretty much, I was like, well, okay, should I be sitting here spinning this, or would it be better if I was sitting here flicking my knife?
Yeah.
And they're like,
Yep.
oh, I was like, the
See, like
fidget.
all my friends and family have just like come to understand that I'm just always going to be flicking a knife. Like it's just what it is.
Hmm. There is something too, and again, too, this is why I love the clutch lock because it
Hmm.
has that like, where if I put it, that like click. There is something,
Yeah.
especially with like the clutch lock access, crossbar locks that like really solid.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know why it's so sensitive. Like, legit, if somebody on there is on YouTube where like just flicked it, open and close a knife for like
Hmm.
an hour, I'm sure that there'd be people that would listen to it. I'd probably
There's
listen to
gotta
it.
be there's gotta be knife ASMR out there, right?
I mean, I would rather watch a knife ASMR than some of the other weird ASMRs.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Like, yeah, that's a whole line of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was speaking at a camp one point years ago, and I said something about ASMR. My wife's like, should you say something like that? in front of a bunch of
Hmm.
campers. I'm like, okay, so there's not all bad connotations to it. I was like, sure, there's a weird section there, but it's not all bad. She's like, oh, that's a good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, I just think of it as like weird, like fingernail tapping mostly and
It's like
whispering, you know?
it's the people that are like, oh, we're gonna do like there's people that are like pertain to like do makeup brushes. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yep.
I just swipe past those ones in the shorts. I'm like, nope, we're gonna move past.
Yeah. There's a
I
lot
think
of weird corners in the internet, you know. I don't need to explore that one too much.
this is why that's why Reddit is not my. I am not a Reddit person. I was
Yeah,
like,
me either.
that's too deep a rabbit hole. Sure, there's good stuff
Yep.
on there, but I'm gonna stick with the Facebook and YouTube. Wow, the Facebook. I
Yeah.
sound like my dad. Makes me sound. But so jumping back, whoop, jumped
Mhm.
all the way. I like hit the wrong button. Oh, there we are. So looking at kind of our kind of like EDC stuff.
Yeah.
What is the weirdest slash funniest thing you've ever carried in your pocket that actually came in handy?
I mean, that's gotta be, I don't know, I was writing something up the other day, for a social post, and I was just thinking about like how like interesting my job can be at sometimes. Like one day, or even like in the span of the same day, I'll be working on like a Space Kitty in, and then the next hour I'm working on like a Stroop waffle knife, and then later I'm like working with Matt on like supply chain, like really, I don't know, in the weeds on laser cutting and water jet, and then the next minute I'm working on like corn scales. So the funniest thing I've carried is probably the Lander 4 with the corn scales, testing them out. That was just like the weirdest, like one of the weirdest projects I've ever worked on. It's one of those, I don't know. Me and Ben have a really good working relationship because I tend to steer towards more of the like Jeremy Sire stuff, like kind of
Hmm.
more, a little bit more serious, but still cool. And just, I don't know, that's kind of more my style, I guess. And
Hmm.
Ben wants to do, corn scales and stroopwafel knives. And so we get a little bit of both. Um, so sometimes the projects like that, I'm like, no way, Ben, like why would we do this? And then pretty much every time it works out. So I've kind of learned to go with it, you know?
Well, it kind of goes back to that whole like throw something against the wall and see like sticks,
Yep.
and it's like, and two, I think there's some great advantage like with Ben, him being in the industry for as long as he has,
Yeah.
gets to kind of in a sense not be the dark horse of it, but he's like you kind of see some of the crazy stuff. It's like the joke everybody
Yeah.
talks about the Boker mermaid. Like
Mhm.
your non-knife person's gonna look at that knife and be like, why? But like
Yeah.
everybody else is like, because like
Well, and that knife does a great job of like, when you think about it, like that looks like a gas station knife. But I think because it has such a cool theme that
mhm.
even, and like the flipper is a flipper, like I think even knife guys are like, no, it's kind of cool, it's
You
kitschy,
can't
but it's fun.
you can't not.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah, and there's certain things too. I mean, you think about like patents or designs. Like,
Yeah.
I'd love to see like lander scales that look like that would interlock with Legos. I think I've seen
Yeah.
ones that look like it, but I'd love to see like legit. Like, I could like take it and like stick it in my daughter's Lego set, and there it is. Like,
Yeah, and I don't know what the trademark or patent issue would be there, because I know. Well, so first, that's funny you mentioned that because Chroma Scales, we do a lot of projects with them, and they actually make some
mm,
Lego scales. But
oh,
I don't even know if we carry them now. For a long time, me and Austin and Matt have been like, Ben, we've got to carry these. Like, they're really cool. And
mhm.
Ben's argument is they don't fit the actual Lego bricks. So he doesn't want to do it. And now I've
Oh,
seen that Kaiser has released a knife that does fit Lego bricks onto the scales. So
mm.
if they're doing it and they haven't been sued yet, I guess it's possible.
I was listening to, I think it was the 4 Hour Work Week. And at some
Okay.
point, the author, Tim Ferriss, he says something about it's better to ask forgiveness than permission.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
you do it and
We
then
do a
they
lot of
say,
that.
yeah, they do
Hmm.
it. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, don't do that. And you're like, oh, hey, sorry. Won't do that again. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, the corn scales, I saw them. I'm like, what? But then also too, in the same sense, it's because it's so crazy looking. it
Yeah.
works. You cross that weird Rubicon of like this is ridiculous, but it
Mhm.
works. And now you're like over it, and now because it's ridiculous, it works in this perfect way kind of thing.
Yeah, and we're lucky enough to have like partners like
Mhm.
Chroma Scales who enable us, honestly. Like if we come up with some crazy idea, they're like, yeah, we can do it. Randall's the best over there. He
Mhm.
makes it happen. So in a
Well,
way, he has enabled a lot of weird projects.
and the thing about it, too, and this is something that the more I do this, because again, like I had started doing Substack, I've been doing Substack for quite a while, and it was just
Mhm.
articles and stuff like that. And I wanted to eventually, like, I had made a list of people when I started kind of mixing between, I'd done YouTube stuff, and I was like, I had made a list of people that I wanted to interview. And it was like different people, some local people and everything. And but like I never pictured that I would actually like interview anyone. And then Ben was like, I messaged Ben on Facebook. I'm like, hey, and Ben's like, sure. I'm like, what do I do? And then all of a sudden it's like, and the more like just in the moon crew and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
just the community in the knife and EDC world is like the best community. Like,
Yeah, it's crazy like the access you can get in the
mhm.
knife community because like I've
Yeah.
heard TJ Schwartz's story where he's coming up as a knife designer and he sends Ken Onion a message and TJ was like he happened to be vacationing in Hawaii and Ken was like, yeah, come over, I'll show you like how I do things. Like it's crazy that you can go from you know not a name in the industry at all. You can just reach out and the people in the knife industry are nice enough to give you the time of day, you know.
It's probably one of like the most encouraging. It's literally like that friend group where everybody is like got each other's backs in that sense where it's
Yeah.
like and it's like the coolest thing ever. Like
It's
just
the best. Like if you've ever been to a blade show too, um, you see it in action. People will just go up to Ken Onion or Ben or Brantley,
mhm,
who you had on. Like anybody can talk to anybody there, and
mhm.
everybody's friends pretty much for the most part. And yeah, it's a wonderful industry to be in.
It is Blade Show. I told my wife the other day because I think Brantley had mentioned something about Blade Show. And I was like, we might have to go to a Blade Show. And she's like,
Yes.
oh, okay. She's
Yeah.
like, where is that? I'm like, I think there's a couple different ones. I was like, well, I
Yeah.
never thought about going to one, but I guess we might think about it. She's like, well, if this takes off and you go places with this, then I was like, well, we'll go. And I mean,
Yeah.
the thing is too is like it's fun to just talk with people and get to know people
Mhm.
and being in a day and age where like you can talk to someone like that's half a country or more away
Yeah.
and have these conversations. It's like just like the coolest thing
It's
ever.
the best. Yeah. I
Hmm.
mean, so because you're in New York, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So yeah, you're kind of in a tricky spot. The closest Blade Show to you is probably Blade Show Atlanta,
Mm.
which is in June, which is it's the biggest one. It's great.
Hmm.
And then
Oh.
we have Blade Show West coming up here in a couple of weeks here in Utah,
Oh yeah.
which is a lot of fun because it's our home show. So we get to, we usually have like an after party at our storefront, and it's a lot of fun. And then Blade Show Texas in Dallas Fort Worth in usually February or March. That one's kind
Mm.
of my favorite, honestly. I really like Fort Worth, and it's
Oh.
it's nice to get out of the cold Utah weather in February.
Well, that it's one of those things too where like thinking about it too. New York is not also, I don't know actually all the knife laws for New York State.
Mhm.
It's just, we, I don't think that they're necessarily always the friendliest to stuff like that. Of course, New
Yeah,
York
I know
City,
that they have some restrictions on blade length, I think.
yes. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, like the funniest thing too is like I moved here from Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is like the Wild West when it comes to laws,
Yeah.
like knife laws. They're like whatever.
They
I
don't
had a
care.
I remember like even with like concealed carry in
Mhm.
Pennsylvania, I literally filled out the forms and like less than a month later I had a concealed carry permit.
Yeah, I
In
would
New
imagine. I mean, I'm not a big gun guy, but I would imagine Utah's pretty much the same way. We don't really
right.
have any restrictions on knives. So,
New York State, it's basically like they're talking like it's 6 months to a year. And then they changed the laws now where now they want you to give up all your social media handles and everything for them
oh,
to look at your social media.
interesting. Huh.
Yes. Um, of course, I think that most people that I've known people that are like, I'm just going to deactivate my social media before I apply. I was like, They're like, so if I
Yeah.
disappear off social media for a while, don't worry, man, I'll be back. I'm like, I will know what you're doing then, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's one of those things where I'm not sure. I think at one point gravity knives were a big thing,
Oh, oh,
and the way I'd have to check and see,
there we
but the
go. Sorry, you froze for a second.
oh no, oh I'm back. But like the way they defined it was like anything that
Oh,
could
yep,
like
you're back.
oh yeah, oh man, maybe my we're good to go. All right, but can you hear me
I think
now?
I've got you now. Yeah. Yep,
Oh,
we're good.
it's cutting out. But yeah, they were weird laws. Hopefully they won't all stick around. But so now
Yeah,
for
well, and we just did a naps at night going into European knife laws, and man, those are
yeah.
really intricate.
Dude, that video was wild. Like I was watching that, I was like, geez, I was like, man. And I mean, more power to the guys at Knives and Tools and
Hmm. They
like
do wonderful work.
yeah, all the work that they do and also having to know all those different things. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's crazy. I appreciate what they're doing on that 100%. But
It's really intricate, and so that's why we're kind of trying to design for them a little bit because yeah, they
hmm
have so many restrictions on what they can carry. We want to get them something cool, you know.
hmm Well,
So
I think was that the video where Ben mentioned that you guys are doing a slip joint now?
yes, he did. Well, so I don't know. I try not to ever talk about like what's not
Uh,
been released, but since I mean, he said that we're working on one, so I will confirm that we are working on a slip joint.
which will be awesome. Like, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, I'm not a huge slip joint guy myself, but I love the
Mhm.
idea of having, again, it's the accessibility thing. But that would be pretty cool. I look forward to seeing what that looks like when it pops up, kind of thing.
I think people are going to be surprised.
Well, knowing your track, knowing the track record of you guys, it's going to be a great. I'm sure it's going to be kind of a refreshing take on it, and that's probably the best way to put. And that's it. Say,
Yeah,
you know,
I think
expect.
that's a good way to say it.
Because
Yeah.
well, it's like my wife would point out. She's like, "How are they coming up with doing new ideas?" You take
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a change, and there you go, kind of thing.
Yep.
So now, another EDC question for you. Jump into that.
Yeah, please.
If you had to pick just one Naps product to carry every day for the next year, which would you go with?
So I was thinking about this. This is kind of a cop out because you guys don't know what it is, but we have a prototype that is
Ah,
hopefully going to be released relatively soon, and I love it. Like it's probably my favorite knife that we've ever made. So I'd probably carry that, but since that doesn't really count, love the Lander 2, and I love the OCT. I've been carrying so much. I They took it to have a Knives Day, Knives and Tools event back in the
ah,
Netherlands. So it was
mhm.
gone for, a couple weeks. And I actually like missed the prototype. So I was like, I need those to come back. So I
Oh
love the
man.
OCT, but I would probably go with the Lander 3 clip point is
Okay.
one of my very favorite knives that we've made.
There is something about the clip point blade, and I saw when
Yeah.
you guys just dropped the Lander 4 clip point too.
Yeah, we did.
And I had commented because it looks legit. I look at that knife, and that knife looks like the knife that like that what like one my dad would carry. And I actually,
Yeah.
oh, I do have one. My dad gives me so now a little bit different. I'll show you. This is one of my dad's knives.
Cool.
Now this was initially a cold steel Pendleton, but
Hmm.
my dad's a little bit different at the point that like he can't leave a knife alone.
Yeah.
So he will rip apart almost every knife. Like I gave him a SOG Aegis AT.
Okay.
He took
Yeah.
out the thumb studs, threw them away, and then took a Dremel tool and like carved a huge notch along the blade so he could open it because
Oh,
he
wow.
has arthritis, so he can't use the
Uh-huh.
thing. So he like carved it, and then he's like, I don't need it anymore. So he gave it back to me. No thumb studs, huge gash in the side. I'm like,
He put like a nail nick in it himself.
oh
That's
yeah,
cool.
he's that kind. I have a bunch, almost every knife he's had that was like he bought one way comes to me separately. But like the clip point style blade, he's given me other ones like that that he loved that style blade he favored.
Uh-huh.
So it has like this old Western
Yeah.
classic vibe that's just
I really like it because it kind of has. I'm kind of going through a cowboy phase right now, honestly. I mean,
ah
I grew up in Utah, so like you're always around. Like I grew up going
Right.
to rodeos and stuff. But right now, I think that vibe is very popular, and so I love it on that Lander 4. It looks so good. We had some photos taken of it with like some saddles and cowboy hats, and I was like, man,
Oh,
that is just cool, you know?
there's something again, like, well, not cowboys, knives, that's a thing.
Yeah, of
Like
course, yeah,
it's just yeah, and again, timelessness. It's like the big idea design with their design. They want to have timeless things. Like the
yeah,
clip point's a timeless design. Like
I
I
agree. Yeah,
will be using clip points for decades more, I
hmm
think. The kind of thing. Now, it's interesting. I love how you brought up the reviews that you like to read reviews because I know not everybody does,
yes,
but
I do.
so
Well,
has
I don't
a
always enjoy it, but I try to read them.
that's true. Knowing it's like how
If they're
people
bad,
say
it's not a lot of fun.
that's true. Well, it's like how some people are like, don't read the comment videos on like if you're a
Yeah,
YouTuber. I haven't
yep.
had to deal with that yet, other than I posted a short today that was like a clip from because the YouTube version of the Brantley interview goes live tomorrow.
Oh,
I
cool.
posted a clip where Brantley's talking about that the policy is like no deadbeat dads. If your kids have stuff, go to it.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm a dad. I have an 11-year-old. I think that's great. Someone commented on that video and they're like, I'm pretty sure these guys would make a lot more money at other companies. I'm like, you may not have a good relationship with your kids or not have
Yeah,
kids.
that's interesting.
Yeah, I was like, uh, okay, how do you respond to that? And then, of course, I was the
Yeah.
person that had to respond. I was like, well, money isn't everything, and that was the end of it.
Yeah. That's
Uh,
a
they
good
didn't
response.
they didn't respond, so maybe
Yeah.
that was the end of it. But I was like, why? But yeah, so when it comes to customer feedback, so has a customer story or a piece of feedback ever kind of taken a project and kind of turn or a product and kind of turned on its head how you look at it?
Yes, definitely. I try to, I don't know. That's something I've really been trying to improve on. It's really hard taking feedback a lot of the time. You know, you've worked on this project for so long, it's your baby, and then
Hmm.
someone gets in their hand for like 30 seconds and they're like, oh, I don't like this, and you should change that.
Oh
But
yeah.
you have to get good at it because that's how you become a better designer.
Hmm.
Um, I'm kind of thinking one of the biggest like 180s that we did was the Lander 5.
Mm.
This wasn't really a customer, I guess. So it was actually Blade West last year, so almost a full year ago.
Oh.
We had a sample of the Lander 5 that was like, in my mind, it was done. We were
Hmm.
ready. We are going to launch it on Kickstarter very soon, and had a thumb stud. And we were talking with some guys at the after party, so the after party after Blade Show,
Mm.
and they were kind of like, "This looks a lot like a baby banter," and we were like, "Yeah, like, do you think that's a problem?" And so Ben kind of he had a he thought about it for a long time. He's like, "Is it a problem that looks like a baby banter? It's the same designer, it's different companies." And we kind of came to the conclusion after a while that it was a problem. We didn't want people to think that it was a knockoff.
Mm.
And so, I mean, we were so close. We were ready to do the Kickstarter, and we just did a
Oh
complete
man.
180. Went with the thumb hole. We changed the handle a little bit, and it was all for the best. Pretty much all feedback works out. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, that was kind of a bummer for me. I was so excited for it release, and then it was probably another 6 months before it ended up releasing. But it
Oh
was all for the
wow.
best. Yeah,
Right. Well, I mean, I'd imagine too, people have talked about Kickstarter as a great place for feedback and everything because people are going to be,
yeah,
you have this very active, people are like, oh, I like this or I like this. Although
yeah. You have
I
the
think,
community.
right. Although I think sometimes there are some knife interviewers out there that I look at and they like just decimate a knife.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
and I think there comes in with the perspectives, like your preconceived ideas of what
Yep.
you want, color your
hmm
thoughts on it. It's like
Yeah.
movies. Like I could look at like a movie and I'd be like, I love this movie. Like I'm a nerd
Yeah.
and I love the Pacific Rim movies. I can look
Oh
at
yes, me too.
yeah, I mean, who doesn't like
Yeah.
it's giant robots and giant monsters.
Yeah.
It's
It's
a
awesome.
and I have friends that are like, "Oh, I can't believe you like that." I'm like, I can't help it. I just do. So like, but their
It's just
perspective,
cool.
yeah. And there's now I have thoughts about the sequel, and I wish the sequel wasn't as good. Like I wish it was better, but it's still like
Yeah.
I'll take it. but like your preconceived notions about like likes, dislikes, all of that colors your opinions. It's impossible for someone to be objective. So it's you have to kind of sift between like the opinions of like, okay, how much of this is preconceived notions, how much of this is legitimate usability.
Yeah,
Where,
well, and a lot of it for us, like we try to be very discerning
hmm
and very detail oriented, but then you have to also think about like we try to design for the knife nerds. Like we
hmm
want our core fan base to be really happy with the knives we give them. But then like you have to think about, a lot of the people that are buying this are not super into the knife industry. They
hmm
might have just happened upon our site. So it's kind of like with the
right,
Lander 5, it's not really a knife guy's knife. Like it has aspects. It's
hmm
left or right hand compatible. You can swap the clip. It's
hmm
deep carry clip. It has a lot of those aspects. It's got great jimping, but some of the stuff like maybe the action isn't as pristine as a
hmm
$200 titanium frame lock. So you just have
yeah,
to decide like what market is this for, and
hmm
are they going to be happy with it? And then if they are, then you've done your job.
right. I was gonna say, like I contrast, like my wife has a Gerber Keynote. It's that little
Okay.
thing, it kind of folds
Yes.
out. It's got this really stubby edge. It's an edge.
I think I
And
know that one.
it's like it's like this weird squared off thing. I don't even know if they sell it anymore. But the
It's
thing
like
is
a
too,
keychain knife, isn't it?
yeah, it's basically like a
Yeah.
keychain knife and it has this very short angular thing, but she uses
Yeah.
that in her kitchen. Like if she's like, ah,
Okay.
she wants the label off, she's grabbing that to like slice through
Yeah.
that. But
Good scraper, maybe. Yeah.
Mhm. But she's like that's the difference. Like I could hand her any one of my knives from my collection and it's a knife.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter to her what the steel is. That's like the Lander 5. That's the knife that like I think you guys talked about. You lend it to the
Yeah.
person that's going to probably not give it back, or maybe to
Yep.
your kid and they drop it down the grate, the sewer grate, or something like that. And
Yeah.
you're
Lend
not,
it to your neighbor Larry.
yep, you're not going to like lose your mind if it's gone because you're
Mhm.
out what, $25, something like
Yeah.
that.
25, $30. Yeah.
Yeah.
No big deal.
And I mean, for the price of it, it's, and yeah, you like the left, right. Here's the thing. I'm a lefty. So like
Mm.
lefty knives that switch back and forth. That's like for me. So I have a gripe with CRKT. Not that they're a bad company, but they just have a thing with being mostly righties. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I want a lefty. Give me a lefty CRKT Polar. Like that's what I
So
would
can I ask
love.
you a question then?
Mm.
Because this is actually really interesting. I promise we think about you lefties a lot. Um, but then, sometimes it comes down to like you guys are 10% of the population.
Yes,
And
I have
so
to
we
take
have
that in
to,
mind.
yeah, we have to design for, you know, right-handed sometimes. We
Mhm.
actually have a couple prototypes coming up that are not swappable. Do you ever carry your knife? The clip isn't swappable. I'll say
Mhm.
that. They're still like totally operable, ambidextrous
Mhm.
in opening and closing. Do you ever carry your knife in the right pocket, even though you're a left-handed person?
I do. So here's the thing.
You do. Okay.
I have a gripe with CRKT. However,
Yeah.
I still have the Polar 2. I have
Cool.
the Polar because I love Voxness designs.
Me too. He's one of my favorites.
Oh my gosh, his designs
Yeah.
again, very iconic. And also the Polar I think was named after Mark Twain's boat. Where I live here in Elmira is the home of Mark Twain.
Oh,
So
cool.
I live, Elmira College is maybe like 10 minutes that way, and they have a replica of his study there, as well as he's buried here. So
Cool.
for me, there was a little bit of this like coolness for the Polar. So I have the Polar. I
And
carry
that's
the.
so cool. There's the story. That's what we're always talking about. It's got to have a
Oh yeah,
story.
a
Yep.
story to a product always makes it better. But yeah, so like I
Hmm.
love the Polar, and I carry the Polar too. I just switch where typically it's like left pocket's my keys,
Okay.
my notebook and
Yep.
pen, and then right pocket's like my phone. Or yeah, left pocket's my knife and notebook. Right pocket's my keys and pen, or keys and phone.
Yeah.
So if I'm carrying a righty knife, I'll switch it around. So
Okay.
I am not against righty only knives. It's just
It's
for
good to know.
me, it has to tick a couple other boxes. So like, is it still a
Yeah.
frame lock, liner lock kind of thing? Like as long as it hits the other designs that I like,
Mhm.
that doesn't bother me.
Cool.
Because like the tuna is
Yeah.
I love the tuna. I don't carry mine. I actually have it's in a box here because I was gonna put it up for sale. But I
Okay.
have and I haven't carried it recently. I did carry it, but I have the
Oh,
one of
yeah. Is that
these.
like a limited edition one?
200, I think there was like 250 of them.
Cool.
However, this is gonna make you groan, but like the clip was boogered up and the screws were boogered up, and so like a terrible, like this is, I just straight up
Hey, if it works,
saw
yeah, I like it.
I sawed it off. But the thing is too, is like, so that was part of why I like this one, is this one's reversible, but the original,
Hmm.
but there's the design, but the so for me, I am not just because it is righty only. It won't mean that I'm completely. Now, granted, too, I also like hate on CRKT because they never do anything for once.
Yeah,
However, I'm also like the company behind it as well matters to me.
yeah,
Like the story of the company. So for me, if a design that Knafs makes isn't quite like doesn't quite tickle my fancy the same way, but it's right and it's
hmm,
righty only. The fact is that I love your company. I love to support the story. That covers that last 10% that something else might have covered kind of thing.
yeah.
And also too, like,
Yeah, I've actually seen that
yeah.
before, like that. And it's crazy to me. Like we have such
Hmm.
amazing fans that are so invested. There was a comment on the OCT launch video, I think,
Hmm.
and it was something along the lines of like, this knife really isn't my style, but I just love NAF so much that
Hmm.
I'm gonna support it anyways. And so I just responded, I was like, oh my gosh, like that is so kind of you. You
Hmm.
don't like, I get it. Like I get that this is not everybody's style. So there's going to be many knives down the road that maybe will be. You totally don't
Hmm.
have to, but man, that it was so nice of them.
Company matters. Like, this is the thing
Yeah.
too. This is why, like, if we look like in the EDC, that's where it comes up in the EDC comment. Like, NAFS has its own, it's like a zeitgeist of its own thing where like and I think part of it the Ben persona, and but as a whole there is something to that where it's like sports teams. Let's be honest. EDC guys are totally big. We're as big fans as a sports team. Like, you get
That
the
is a
guy,
really good
yeah.
analogy, actually. I've never
Like,
thought about it that way.
you think about it, like legit, like you may get the guy who's the Packers fan, and
Yeah.
he's got like my pastor is a Packers fan. He's got in his office, he's got a cheese head that's got the autographs.
Nice.
And his boys are the same way. Now, granted, too, all his boys
Cool.
have different teams, but
Yeah.
like they're showing up to church in their jersey and everything over their polo. It's the funniest thing. They come in with a polo on and the jersey
Uh-huh.
over top. I'm like, that's fandom.
It's
But
awesome.
that's the same thing. Like, we as EDC guys, we have our teams that
Yeah.
we're all in on them. You
Yeah.
can't always buy every product necessarily because of finances, but like you're
Yeah,
gonna
but you can't always go to every game, you know?
right. Like
Yeah.
for me, if I have like a toss up, if it's like for me, if I have a pick between, I'm gonna say I could buy a Benchmade or I could buy a Nafs. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably buy a Nafs because it's going to be, to me, I get better value for the buck. I'm getting a lot of like I'm getting designs that I like. I'm getting customization. Yeah, sure, I could buy titanium scales and everything aftermarket. I
Mm.
could do that. But price wise, there's a lot more that you can do within that one ecosystem. And then the creativity aspect. Like, I have a buddy, he just bought his Lander 4 I mentioned. He's looking at potentially starting to make custom scales for the Lander 4,
Cool.
and he's like a woodworking type dude.
Yeah.
So he's like, I loved his story. He's like, yeah, he's like, and he sent me a screenshot where he basically texted his wife and he's like, hey, listen, can I buy a knife for like research purposes? And she's like,
Oh.
okay. And then he got it. And so I think he took it on a hiking trip or a backpacking trip. I haven't heard
Yeah.
what it was like, so I'm hoping to find out.
Yeah.
But he bought it wanting to support the company kind of thing. So that's the thing.
That's so cool.
You get
Yeah.
to once someone's in on the team,
Yeah.
and it's a lot different. Like, let's be honest, there's also fair weather sports teams, and there's probably fair
Yeah.
weather EDC teams. But there's certain company, like once you get a good loyalty, like
Hmm.
as a company, when you have a loyal fan base, they will stick with you kind of thing. And I mean, I
Yeah,
think NAFS does that.
that's a really interesting way to think about it because like you were saying, we do really try hard to provide great value to the customer.
Hmm.
Mm. Yeah, that's such a cool analogy because I mean, there might even be like different sports within the EDC community. Like we don't make
Mhm.
OTS. To me, that's a different sport, and there are a lot of
Right.
different teams there. And you might have a little crossover, but yeah,
Mhm.
that's a really interesting thought. Yeah,
And and I mean, you have a lot of similarity, team play and everything. And there's less competing. It's not like with sports where obviously my team, you're like,
yeah.
oh, my team's better than your team. Sure, there's
Well, and we do a
probably
lot of collabs too, whereas like
you
teams
guys.
aren't really going to do that. But
That's the thing too. I love the fact, like, I feel like of all the people, like, obviously Big Idea Design does a lot of collabs as well, but
yes,
Knafs
they do.
feels like they are right up there. Like, it's like Big Idea Design and Knafs are, and of course, they have the pen,
Hmm.
the Sancho pen, which I love mine as a collab.
Me too.
Like,
Yeah, that
could,
was that was a really fun project to work on. I listened to your episode with Brantley,
oh,
um,
okay.
and it was really interesting to hear his side of the story because yeah, like he was saying, Ben came and visited, and they were
Mhm.
all just kind of working, and then Ben pulls out a big crystal, and Brantley's like, what are you doing with that pen? And Ben's like,
Right.
okay, well, do you want to hear the whole story? And that was just really funny to hear his perspective because from my perspective, I had been working on that project for a couple of weeks, and I had done
Mhm.
like a really fast 3D print and like tech pack mock-up, and so it was just fun to hear him say that. But yeah, we're really trying to do a lot more collabs, mainly just because we think it's fun. Like the guys at Big Eye are so much fun to work with. I'm actually really bummed they're not coming to Blade West this year. I'm like, man,
Oh,
it's not going
well,
to be the same.
let's be honest. Like, if you're a comic book nerd, same thing. The crossover events are always legit,
So
like
cool.
an
Yeah,
epic thing. And so
yeah.
we're getting a little bit of that crossover when you guys do that. Like, and I mean, some of you're now I haven't seen all the collabs. Like, I wish I had snagged the Pete's Pirate Life one because
Mm,
who doesn't like Pete's Pirate Life? It's Pete's
yeah,
Pirate Life. Uh, but like those are collabs where you look at it, you're like, this is just kind of comes out and you make it collectible. So you have the same knife, but it's
yep.
different in subtle, sometimes not so subtle. Obviously, a brass handled knife is not super subtle.
Yeah, if you've ever held that knife, it's not very subtle.
Yeah. But like doing it where you take this thing and like the coin, where you have like the one side's got the moon on it and the cats, and
Yep.
it's like it's like Pokemon cards all over again in a sense where it's like, sure, I have 8 Pikachus, but this one's holographic
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
thing.
you're kind of blowing my mind with these analogies. It was totally like a crossover episode, where it's
Well,
these two brands you love, they do something together.
yeah,
Um, with
and
the
I mean,
coin too, there's more to come there.
oh, okay. So I I hope you guys do coin. I was looking at coins. I've been like, I think I was listening to a podcast with Raven the Pirate, and he talked
Mm,
about like EDC coins are a great way for people who may not be completely on with like a brand's other products. They're like, I'm not really interested, but I want to support the brand. And like
yeah,
the coin gives them an opportunity for something really cool, collectible, but like I'm supporting the company.
yeah.
I mean, let's see. Let's see a coin with like Afro Ben on it. It's like a visage of him.
There's
That
another collab actually is the cards that Big Eye made with
yes.
with Afro Ben Ross.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that came up in the interview with Brantley, and I love the idea of it. Like these are the things where it's
Yeah.
like something out of it's the ridiculousness but awesomeness. You've crossed
Yeah.
that it sits at that point where you have all these creators and now they're all in this collectible cards. Like I'm not sure which of those cards I think is coolest. I love how Pete McKinnon's
Mhm.
looks, but Ben's is hilarious with the hair and everything.
So
But
funny.
it's yeah, there is just something really cool with that.
Well, I think
So
that's a lot of why the EDC like industry is so fun is
mhm,
because there are a lot of small brands that can kind of do whatever they want.
yeah.
So like Big Idea Design gets to make fun playing cards.
Mhm.
Flightanium is making like video game knives. Like there's a lot of avenues for people to kind of nerd out and do stuff that they like within the EDC space.
Yes. There and the EDC space then it outputs like makers. Like we look
Yeah.
at, going back to Adam in the Facebook page with the Overland.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like there seems to be like we have all these, the tree roots of like the EDC community. There's like all the fruit of these different makers that just like come out of nowhere
Yeah.
with these cool things where you're like, dude, that's amazing. I never
When it
thought
just
about
it
that.
reaches everywhere, it goes
Yeah.
into like people who are into cars, people who are into video games, people who are into I don't
Hmm.
know, movies, anything. Like it goes bushcraft. It has
Yeah.
so many different branches that reach out. I think it's a lot of fun, and that's a lot of
Hmm.
fun for a designer like me because I'm never doing the same thing. I could be
Right.
designing something for office carry, like the OCT, and then I'm working on something for making
Hmm.
fire, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun.
Well, let's think about it's like you have a basis where there's like the branches that shoot off, but it's like a lot like the past three. So this is third interview in. The
Mm.
questions have been similar, but the thing is like every person is going to be very different
Yeah.
in terms of how they answer, the personality. And I run into that with my day job. I do like Medicaid enrollment for senior citizens.
Okay.
Which, dude, it's, number one, I go to people's house a lot. They always offer me coffee, and I love coffee. So I'm like, yeah, heck yeah, I'll take some coffee.
Sure. Yeah.
And then the life stories, like an application for
Yeah.
something like that is the same. It's going to be the same person to person, but the story behind it and who they are is so different. Like, and then of course, then with HIPAA, it's super bummer because like the stories that people have said, I'm like, I can't tell
Yeah. You can't
anyone.
share them.
Yeah,
Yep.
and because
Man, that would
sometimes
be tough.
I think the
That'd be
shelf
really
life
tough.
or the statutes like 10, 15 years. So I'm writing
Okay.
down, I have like an
Some of
encrypted
them.
note and
Cool.
I've started to write down some of the very vague details. So when they
Mm,
expire, I can like talk about them because some of them like,
cool.
what do you say to that?
Yeah.
But it's a very cool thing. But then the funny thing is everyday carry comes into that because but someone will give me like a stack of paper, so I have to pop out the staples. So it's like grabbing my
Yep.
multi-tool or something like that. And they're like, "Oh, you're prepared." I'm like, "Oh, I mean,"
Of course.
and that's for me, it's like the leather, my little squirt is
Cool.
diminutive enough that it doesn't look super daunting. But
Yeah.
actually, and
Yep.
that brings up a question, a design question. I think it was on Instagram, some shorts about the Leatherman Wave Alpha.
Oh yeah.
Um, I'd be curious to see for you, your perspective as doing design and things like that. You looking at the Wave Alpha, what do you think of that product?
So I just barely saw a story from Taylor Martin talking about it, but I don't really know what is it that differentiates it from the regular wave.
I think they've gone with a Magna Cut blade is
Okay.
one thing. The
It looked like it had a
pocket
thumb stud and it
thumb
had like some
stud,
G10 scales too.
and there's no liner. It's just straight G10 scales. There's no liner
Oh,
between
okay.
those. The pocket clip is ginormous. It's
Oh,
like
really?
super
Dang.
long. And so Magna Cut, it's got the G10. It's also, I'm not sure the other thumb stud. They also
Hmm.
swap out like the serrated blade with scissors. So it looks really interesting.
Cool.
I think Grim Granite or something did like a brief video, but he's like the first one.
Okay.
But it's still, if you look at it, if you take away all the weird embellishment, it's still a wave. It's still got the wave form factor and design
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah. And I think like, I don't know, I haven't really dove into that product specifically, but I think Leatherman is such a good example of like innovation where
Hmm.
people would think, knives have been around for thousands of years. There's nothing else we can do.
Right.
Leatherman has been so innovative. It's another great example of story too. Like I have a Leatherman that,
Hmm.
I work an office job, so I don't really need a multi-tool. But I have a Leatherman because I listened to a podcast called How I Built This
Oh
that
yeah.
had Leatherman on, and I heard the story of
Oh,
how
I
he
think I listened
started.
to that one.
It's
I think,
incredible. It's an incredible story. I mean, he was
yeah,
working on it for years and years and years, and like it kind of derailed his life in a way because he couldn't get it up and running, and then he finally does,
right.
and it turns into this incredible company. So that they're another great example of products that connect with you because of their story, and they
Story.
can grow with you, and they can patina, and you can pass them down. So
Yeah.
yeah, big
S-
Leatherman fan for sure.
my favorite story with Leatherman is I go into county buildings a lot, and here in New York State, they assign like no weapons. And so,
Yep.
well, okay, I grew up in the your knife and your multi-tool and stuff are not weapons. So I carried my Leatherman and in and out of the county building. But since I do work there and I don't, kind of like it's a contractor type thing, they don't make me go through the metal detector. Never came up. Eight,
Hmm.
no, it's like 2 years in. a while
Yeah.
back, I finally was like, oh shoot, I need to just be honest with it. So I went to the security guard. I'm like, listen, dude, I'm really sorry, but I've been carrying this Leatherman in, and it was the free P4, I think it was.
Mm.
I've been carrying this in every single day. He's like, oh, well, let me see. So he hands it over, and then he pulls off his belt, a Leatherman Crunch.
Okay.
And he's like, dude, you would not. And again, a lot of times, so the guards, they're older officers. They've been in the force for a long time.
Mm.
He's like, this has saved me more times than I can count. I'm like, really? He's like, you would not believe when this has come in handy. Of course, I didn't have time to sit and talk, and I've thought about going back and be like, dude, hey, can you tell me some stories about that? But he told me, and then his other buddy came out. He's like, hey, look at this, and buddy's like, I feel like we actually need to put this in that, take this out, just keep an eye on it for a bit. I'm like, no, 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 no. He said I could carry it. He said I could. You can't have it. He's like, fine. But like
Yeah.
the story, and when you have it for a long time, it accumulates memories
Mhm.
as you do it, kind of thing.
Well, and
Um,
that's like I'm so excited to get into the knife industry these past
mhm.
2.5, almost 3 years. But I'm kind of bummed. Like, I don't have anything that has like patina, because I haven't had it long enough. So I'm excited for that to develop,
Oh yeah.
over time.
Well,
So,
I was gonna say, I think Ben had the one you were carrying on our podcast, and he said about having some wear and everything. So
oh, the OCT. Yeah.
yeah. So you have some patinas, like you've been carrying yours, which yours is even more special because yours is like this initial creation.
Yeah.
There's the memory of like, not only is it like you can look at it and be like, I made this kind of thing.
Hmm.
So
Well,
I
and
think,
that's kind of why we like aluminum.
mhm.
We've kind of been trying to change the narrative on aluminum. I think a lot of people think of it as kind of like a lesser scale material, but I come
Mm.
from machining. Like my first job was in a machine shop. I actually manufactured gun parts.
Oh,
And in my mind, like high grade aluminum, like 6061 or 6063, we did a lot of 7075. Like
mhm.
that is such a premium material to me. And it's a great one to put on a knife scale. And it's
Right,
great when it's
right.
anodized because it kind of, it can get scratched around the edges after a long time of use. It can get a
Yeah.
little dent here and there, and it carries a story with it.
It's yeah, everything where it's all connected. So, and legacy is an important thing. And I have some legacy questions, but before I get to that, because that's part of the closing, I want to touch on our audience questions.
Yeah, please.
So this first one comes from Patrick.
Trick.
And he wants to know what you see in your daily life that inspire your designs. Then he says,
Hmm.
also, we know he isn't a fan of spice, so he wants to know what the line is there. Jalapenos, habaneros, that kind of stuff.
That's
So
a really funny question from Patrick.
it's a two-parter.
Yeah, because I've been to dinner with Patrick. He lives, I don't think he even lives that close to Dallas Fort Worth, but he lives in Texas.
Mm,
And so he came out to Blade West and we were able to hang out with him a bunch, which was
dude.
such a treat. He brought us like two tote bags full of stuff from Bucky's, which was
Oh,
awesome.
that's all. That is very cool.
It was really nice of him. So that's funny that he's talking about spice because I can't think of where else I've said I don't like spice. Yeah, I'm not super keen on spice. I jalapenos, perfect.
Hmm.
Habaneros, I'm out. No
Mm.
thanks.
So we're
You
saying
know,
ghost peppers are a no-go then.
they're a no-go, definitely.
You're like,
Yeah.
no.
I was a little worried. My episode of Naps at Night, we had some Japanese snacks from a guy in the Moon Crew named Tadakimi, and it was
Oh,
like a dried squid leg and a piece of manta ray. And
oh.
I was like, these aren't going to be great. And then Austin was telling me that the manta ray is supposed to be pretty spicy. And I was like, man, they're already going to be a little tough and it's going to be spicy.
Oh
But it
man.
really wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad at all.
Okay.
So yeah, it was more bark than bite. But going back to the other question,
Right.
um, what do I see in my everyday life? A lot of inspiration for me comes from cars.
Mm.
Um, I grew up as a car guy. I'm still a big car guy. Me and my dad have a couple old Ford trucks that we like to work on a lot.
Oh.
Um, Austin's the same way. He's a big car guy, our general manager. Um, and so a lot of the lines on like the OCT are kind of inspired by cars. I
Mm.
also look at a lot of furniture design. Um,
Oh, okay.
I love the way like people can bring kind of like an organic feel into like a chair or a table, something that's so commonplace as a
Hmm.
knife. I also like to look at shoes a lot. Those can be really inspiring for me.
Ah,
So
okay. Those
yeah,
are so I was not expecting that, but I think that's amazing too. It's, the testament to where design inspiration can come from. So it's funny you say Tadakimi.
yeah.
He submitted a question as well. He
Oh,
says,
cool.
yeah, he says, if business and physics are not concerned, what kind of knife would you design?
Ooh, okay. Um, that's a fun question. I've actually been thinking about this a little bit more recently.
Mm,
We had a product offsite meeting with me and Ben and Austin and Jamie back in probably May.
hmm.
And Ben asked us all a question. He was like, if, like, what are you guys into right now? Like, what do you think is really fun? What interests you? And my answer was kind of like art knives.
Oh,
He's passed
okay.
away now, rest in peace. Elijah Isham. He
Hmm.
made some really crazy, cool, intricate looking knives that were more of an art piece than a tool. And I think the idea of that is really fun. And I think if I were able to do something like that, it's like almost Wes Anderson inspired, it would not look anything like an Elijah Isham knife. Like that's not
Hmm.
really my style, but you'd be able to tell that this knife is different
Right.
and it's very creative, you know.
It has
It's more of
its,
a form of self-expression than a cutting tool.
I think, and there is definitely a place for those kind of things, like where you can
Yeah,
see the art and creativity to just enjoy.
yeah,
Like, because obviously we can pick up a knife that's like really high end and we can admire it and then use it. Or then you can pick up
yeah.
the knife and you could admire it and be like, this is in my collection. This is in a display case, and that's where it stays. It
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense, kind of thing. I like
Well,
that.
and that's like there's just so many different applications. Like we need the Lander 5 that can be beat
Hmm.
up and it doesn't matter. But then in my
Right.
opinion, we also need some knives. Like I have the bougie banter here.
Oh, dude,
It's
I
kind
love
of
that one.
it's so much fun, right? It's a little bit closer to that kind of art knife.
Hmm.
It's something that people can aspire to. We're
Right.
actually working on one right now for NAF, something more that's a little bit more aspirational, but is more, I don't know, artsy, I
Oh,
guess.
I like that.
So,
So this is so two quick I won't say rapid fire, but quick questions. First one is
right.
Adam asks, did Brantley find him a girlfriend at Blade Show Atlanta?
No, he did not. Man, I don't even know how that started.
Oh man.
I think I am fairly young. I'm 23, and so I think Brantley was just like, okay, yep, this is what
Yeah.
I'm doing now.
Oh
So not
man.
yet. Yeah,
Oh,
not
okay.
yet.
So the next one is I think it's Elon says, no, Alex says he wants to know if you would ever visit Guatemala and also just tell him I said hola, and that's Alex said that.
Okay. Sure. Why not? I mean, yeah, I think if there was some way to tie in knives, then we would definitely be more interested. But Ben is always down to go travel somewhere and film a story. So why
I
not
told
Guatemala?
I told Ben when we did ours, I was like, dude, I think it was after we'd wrapped, I was like, hey, if you're ever in my way, let me know. We'll go have coffee and because I was like, why not? Of course, the
Yeah.
chances I've thought about like posting the Moon Crew and be like, hey, who wants to do a New York meetup of some kind? So I
Mhm.
might have to figure that out. But so our last one, you probably can't tell us, but Elon says, please ask him the whole NAF's product lineup for the next 3 years. Which was wondering if somebody was going to be like, "Hey, can you tell us what's going on with the company for the next couple
Well,
of years?"
so the next 3 years, I mean, I obviously can't tell you that, but I also can't tell you that because we are not 3 years out.
Nah. Oh,
We're close.
okay.
Um, we're, can you hear me? Can
Yep, I can hear you.
you hear me okay?
Yes, I got you.
Okay, cool. We're looking, I just was looking at we have like a product launch calendar, and we're probably like middle to end of 2027. We have planned out,
Okay.
um, loosely, very loosely. Things
Hmm.
change
Right,
often.
right.
Yeah, I can tell you because Ben already said it that we're working on a slip joint. Um,
Hmm.
there's definitely gonna be more USA made. That
Oh,
is gonna be
awesome.
something we're emphasizing once the little Lulu is, you know, fully into production. Um, yeah, and that's probably all I can tell you.
Well, that's still pretty cool. And speaking of USA, I know we've been kind of on and off like talking about it.
Yeah,
And so I want to touch base on a little bit on the OCT. We've we've
yeah,
we've been kind of talking about it's popped up here and there, but tell us, tell me and the listeners kind of about the OCT. Give me the story. Like if I'm going to be, someone says, "Hey, what's that thing in your hand?"
yeah, for
Tell me
sure.
what it is. How'd you get it? How'd it happen?
It's kind of I don't know, it's an interesting one. This is the first knife to be released that has my maker's mark on it. But, I had a
Mm,
heavy hand in the Lander 3 and Lander 4, Lander 5, Lander 6. And I have other knives that I've designed that will be released in the future. And they all have very different development stories and they all have
right.
very different stories behind them. The OCT came uh, about a year and a half ago.
Hmm.
Ben had returned from China and I had just finished reading a book by Jim Collins called, I think it was Good to Great. I'm pretty sure it
Oh,
was Good to Great.
okay.
He has a couple other one that I've read. And
Right.
one of the principles in that book is first who, then what. You want
Hmm.
to figure out, who is doing the job and then what is the job. And so
Right.
Ben had just come back from China. And so we had this big meeting and we wrote everything out on a whiteboard. We had all these new suppliers and we really wanted to diversify.
Hmm.
And so Best Tech was up there. We're like, okay,
Hmm.
we need a project for Best Tech because we want to work with them. We want to see
Hmm.
what that's like and we want
Yeah.
to diversify. And so that was the OCT. Um, and it kind of just came to development because I was in college. It's what I was thinking about. I remember
Hmm.
sitting on the bus, rode the bus every morning to school and thinking like, okay, what would be like if I needed to cut a string off my shirt? What could I take out of my pocket and it wouldn't really be intimidating, but
Hmm.
it'd be cool. Like it would be something that these people would be
Okay.
interested in. So, um, and then Ben also gave me the parameters of 1.9-inch blade length. We wanted to have that
Hmm.
because there are a lot of workplaces that restrict you to 1.9 or smaller. And
Right.
we want to do aluminum scales. I'm not really supposed to say why we want to do aluminum scales, but
Oh,
there may
don't.
be a future line extension there
I like that.
because of those aluminum scales. And so the OCT was interesting because there were so many restrictions. It was a very limiting product brief. And so
Right.
I just had to kind of be creative within that. And that's what I came up with.
I think that, well, see, here's the thing too. I love how the design looks.
Thank you.
This is the thing too. I realized too. I have a review of the Sancho coming out next week. I think it
Cool.
is.
Great.
Um, but the funny thing is too. It's hard for me to be super critical. Like I look at the Sancho or look at things. It's hard for me to be like. I'm not the guy that's going to be like tear something apart. Like I'm going to
Uh-huh.
look at it. I'm going to look for the positive attributes, and they're going to be what colors my overall view. So I look at the OCT. It's a little bit shorter than what I normally like, but your
Yep.
design for the blade, first off, your design really actually evokes some Pilar echoes to me
Ooh, I'll take that.
because you have that kind of that down sweep that Pilar does a little bit. And I
Yep.
love that. That's one of those biggest things I love. I love reverse tantos. I love anything that the blade goes down as opposed
Mhm.
to this upward. So it has like, there's this, I love how that looks. And so,
Cool.
like, the design, the button lock, even like the little marker that you have on the button, to it,
Yeah.
there's a lot to it that's just really very like you look at that knife and to me, I'm sure other people think the same, there's a lot you can see thoughtfulness put into it. It's not like,
Sure.
oh, it's gonna be a button lock. Let's put a button lock. No, no, no. It's a button lock,
Yeah.
but here's the design on the button lock. And this is so there's so much thought to it. So
Yeah.
I think it for your design with your maker's mark, if I were you, I'd be proud to have my maker's mark on that knife as my first one with the mark on it because it's epic looking.
Thank you. Yeah, well, and I should say, like, a lot of what went into it was, I don't know why, but I've always had some desire and need to, like, be unique, like I need to have
Hmm.
the shoes that nobody else has, or I need to be wearing the shirt that's like cool, but it's a little bit outside of what everybody else is wearing. And so that was a lot of
Right.
the thought with the OCT as well, is I wanted this to be extremely effective and functional, but I wanted it to look a little bit different.
Hmm.
So that
Hmm.
was kind of the thought behind it as well.
Absolutely. Gonna put you on, I'm gonna pause the recording for a moment so I can step out if
Okay.
that's okay. I'll be right back.
Yep. That's great.
All right, and we're back. So obviously think about it. So jumping back with the OCT. So, and I can't remember where I read this, but there was some question like you couldn't do anything with the 3D printing on campus or
Oh
something like
yeah.
that.
Yeah. So I
I'd
have a
love to
3D
hear
printer
about that.
now.
Hmm.
Yeah. I have a 3D printer now, but back when we were first working on the development, I was using a lot of the work I did because I worked remotely. A lot of the work I did was in the library at my university. Um,
Okay.
and because I was a design student, I was allowed to use the 3D printers for free. And so I would
Ah.
go and, I would design the 3D model for work and go print it off there. And
Mm.
most of the time I was fine. But every now and then there was this one guy who was a very strict rule follower. And he'd be like, I'm not
Oh.
allowed to let you print weapons. And I was like, dude, this is like a tiny little blade. It's made out of plastic. I don't think I could hurt anybody with this if I tried. And he's like,
Right.
nope, can't do it. So what I did was I went back and I made the blade a comb. I put little slits in it so it looked like a comb.
Oh.
And so then he would let me use the 3D printer.
It's the loopholes, man. Which
Yeah.
is interesting. This is the thing too. Yes, knives do have are weapons, but
Hmm.
like majority of what knives are tools. And of course, I made the comment about the cat. And of course,
There she is.
this is Poppy. This is my best remote coworker. You know,
Cool.
but
Yep.
I knew it was just a matter of time before she finally decided that she couldn't take me sitting here and not sit in my lap.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's the thing too. It's like the mix between people who look at a knife and they're like, "Oh my gosh, are you?" I remember one point I was teaching a youth group, and the teens saw the knife clip and they're like, "Do you
Hmm.
have a knife?" Like, yes, yes, I do. And
Yeah.
they're like, "Do you stab people with it?" I said, "No, I stab fruit in Amazon packages."
Yeah.
Like, it's, I was like, this isn't now granted too. I have some knives that are built for the self-defense, but like this is the thing. It's like people look at something. How can you look at like the OC and be like, he's gonna go on a rampage with this, or
Yeah.
3D, even 3D printed?
Yeah, like I'm firmly of the mindset that knives are tools that can
Yes.
sometimes, unfortunately, be used as weapons. Um,
Hmm.
Knafs is really not a tactical self-defense brand, so we are very much making things that are meant to be used as tools.
Right.
And yeah, a 3D print, like, come on.
It is it's one of those things where like you just can't help but like just like look at like I saw it and I was like, wow. Um,
Yeah.
like my workplace did that. It's a series of health centers. So they're like, you can't carry weapons. I'm like, really?
No.
And then then they added in the bottom, they're like, but multi-tools are okay. And if the blade's like under X things, you're okay. I'm like,
Okay.
perfect. And like for
Cool. Yeah.
me, I have my squirt is modified
Mhm.
like this.
Oh, cool.
Typically would have a point. So I use
Yeah.
this being in an office environment. I just ground it down, and
Mhm.
then now it's kind of this blunt tip kind of thing.
Yeah.
Still
Nobody's gonna be scared of that.
no. And also too,
Yeah.
like if I pull it out and they're like, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I'm gonna open this package.
Yeah.
Although I feel like somebody needs to design an office multi-tool. Like I was thinking about
Mhm.
this. Like give me like a multi-tool where instead of pliers, like give me staple removers and like
Yeah.
tweezers and like nobody's done that yet. So if you guys are looking for product ideas for
Well,
the
man, you're really making me want to. I wish I could spill the beans.
don't tell
I,
me, don't tell me. I want to
yeah.
be excited. And I mean, see, if you spill the beans, then Ben would be like, "Hey, you can never go on a podcast again." And then
Yeah.
Ben would
Yeah.
probably never come back to my podcast because I want to cycle back. My plan is when I hit like 50 guests, I'm going to be like, "Ben, come back for the 50th," or I'll do like a
That'd be
group
cool.
something. I don't know. We'll
Mhm.
see. Uh, we'll see where this goes from here. Again, like I'm getting to pick the brains of like people that are like doing awesome things. You guys are doing like the designs and stuff. And I mean, I'm looking forward to hearing of other designs. I'm trying to. probably can't even give us a hint of some designs. Obviously, I'm guessing there's going to be an evolution of the OCT. Without confirming or denying, my speculation is
That I don't know, honestly. We'll have to see how it does when it goes, fully to market. I would love
mm,
to make a bigger version. I have said that before. And a lot of the feedback we got on the
right.
OCT was they wish that it was a button liner lock instead of a plunge
Oh,
lock.
okay.
So I am not committing to anything here. There are no plans at all, but I would love to do a bigger version with a button liner lock.
Well, this is the best thing about being, where you guys are at with designing is it's like you kind of roll, Lander one was a liner lock, then you went to
Yeah.
a clutch lock, then you went to a
Mhm.
fixed blade. Now you got a frame lock in there. You're doing a slip joint.
Yeah.
So there are so many different designs, and that's also not even to say that maybe there's not some other kind of new type of lock that
Yeah.
you know that might pop up kind of thing. Who
Yeah, for
knows?
sure. Yep.
Now, obviously, this is like the start. I feel like, obviously you've had a hand in NAFs and a lot of their designs and everything. The OCT obviously is kind of like the start of your personal designer legacy with the mark and everything.
Yeah.
Now, if we think about, we're like, let's fast forward 5 to 10 years down the road. This is kind of like looking at the legacy. When someone picks up a knife that you helped bring into the world, like what would be what you hope they feel?
No, that's a really good question. I guess it's kind of the same as when we were talking about Wes Anderson. Like, I hope a lot of my designs don't look super similar. Like, I think I have a design language for sure, but they're
Hmm.
not all exact copies. I think like Brad Zinker, he has kind of his holes in the handles, so it's
Hmm.
very easy to tell. Okay, that's a Brad Zinker. My designs aren't really like that. There's a lot more, I don't know, variety, I guess. But I hope that
Mm,
in a way similar to Wes Anderson, they can tell that it was me. And I hope that they feel, I hope that they can look at it and think, okay, that is a unique looking knife
right.
and it's aesthetically pleasing. And I think it's going to function well, just kind of your basics, I guess.
Mhm.
And I hope it's something that they would want to pass down and be proud to carry.
I think that too. You run into that thing with being knives. Knives have a longer shelf life than anything. Like in my, I have an
Yeah.
Apple Watch. This isn't
Mhm.
going to get passed down to my daughter.
Yeah.
But something like my Sancho or my
Yeah.
Lander 3, those will be, as long as they last, they don't disappear, we'll have
Yeah.
them. So like you create something that's going to last for a while. So,
Well, and I hope it's also like going along with that. I've thought
mhm.
about like I love to collect knives now, and
Mhm.
obviously like I'm I'll probably get some OCTs for free, but I'm gonna buy so many, like I'm gonna customize some, and so I
Right.
hope that one day, when I pass away and my knife collection is divvied out, I hope that
Mm,
you know, I'm I don't have kids, but I hope one day when I have kids and grandkids that they're excited to have these mementos of my career and life.
right. Well, like that, yeah, legacy is a big thing. Um, but being able to piecemeal out, and as well as the history that will be tied to each one of those. Like I can look at these knives that my dad has given me,
Hmm.
and I can see the wear, I can see where he's beaten them up. And I mean, we're
Yeah.
talking like all, butchering deer, bear, whatnot.
Yep.
There's the story that attaches to them.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, this is fun too. So I asked a similar question to Brantley. Now, Brantley is a bit older than you, so obviously you have a bit
Yep.
of a different thing. If if you could send a short message to your younger self at the start of your creative journey,
Yes.
what would it be?
Um, I mean, I think that like in a way I figured this out, but I think the best advice I've been given is that like money doesn't matter that much. I
Mhm.
think if that's what I had prioritized, I would have gone to like engineering school and done that. So I guess like the advice I would really give my younger self is just do what you're passionate about because what you're passionate
Mhm.
about, you're going to work the hardest at, and then you're going to be the most successful in that. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Do what
I
you
think
love,
that's what
love
I
what you
would say.
do, kind of thing.
Exactly. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing, like I think that comes across. Like, hearing you
Good.
talk
Okay.
about it, this is different than looking at Ben Affleck interviewing for Batman v Superman.
Hmm.
You are excited for what it is, and it shows.
Yeah.
That's a really awesome thing. So, obviously as a design, and it's funny too, because obviously we have Ben who's been on the further end of the designing, and then you've been,
Hmm.
as you're younger, you're kind of like up and coming, so to speak. You've had a ton of experience, and there's much more of cool experiences you'll get to have. If
Wow.
someone came up to you, say like a high schooler comes up to you and be like, "Hey, I have this idea," and they give you a sketch, what would the advice be that you would give to them?
I mean, if it's knife industry, like if they come up to me with a sketch of a knife, I'm gonna say go to blade shows, you know?
Mm,
Like you need to go to those shows and talk to people. Um,
yep.
and you might be surprised with the opportunities you get just from that because like we talked about before, the access in this industry is crazy. You can go up
Right.
to a guy like TJ Schwartz and ask him how he does his bevel
Yeah.
grinding, and he'll probably tell you. So
Hmm.
that's probably what I would say. The other advice is that like it's crazy how much you can progress over time. So be patient.
Mm.
If I look back at projects that I worked on at the start of NAFs, it's like, man, that's really embarrassing. I do not want people to see that because my sketching was bad and my 3D models were
Right.
gross. I don't even want to touch them. And so just in, 2.5 years, you can see the growth that happens. So
Mhm.
just be patient with yourself, I guess.
And also too, maybe well, you said like the early stuff, you're like, oh, it's bad, but also remember that that's like part of you. Like,
Yeah, definitely. Keep a record.
yeah, keep the record. Like my wife, so my first thing with Ben, I'd use like a laptop webcam, and let's be honest, most laptop webcams don't do super well. And so like
Mhm.
Ben's is nice thing, his video part of it, whenever Ben's talking,
Oh,
it's
see,
all.
yeah, yeah. I should apologize. I'm so backlit, and
No,
this is a
you're
terrible
good.
spot. But I get what you're saying.
No, but we still get enough light, and we'll just have to have you come back again at some point.
Yeah, there we go.
Um, but like I can look back and be like, bummer, I should have got. And so then I went and I switched over from the laptop to using my Mac, and now I have continuity camera,
Hmm.
which this is the wild things of Apple. I'm like
Yeah,
better. So it's like at everything you do, it's like you improve, but also like don't hide you weren't always good
yeah,
at something. Then you can, it's like the progress pictures that people take when they're dieting. You take the
yeah.
beginning and end. You
Well, and
look,
those are some of my favorite things we do in our Kickstarters is like the development process. You go from
yeah.
cardboard cutout to 3D print to cardboard
Hmm.
cutout to 3D print to sample. It's really
Hmm.
fun to see like, wow, we started here and we ended somewhere completely different.
The evolution is like
Hmm.
well, it gives people an idea to realize that it's not like you just have a fully formed idea. There's
Yeah,
evolution. Like it
so
comes
much evolution.
and
Yeah.
grows, which is
Because like if there wasn't evolution, like who am I to think that my first idea is the best? Like there's no way. So
mhm.
you have to have.
Well, it's like ideas, input, and
Mhm.
refinement, and like it's that cycle. You have the idea, you get input for it, you refine it, you do it again, and it just gets better
Definitely.
and better and better and better and better. Kind of like this design Groundhog Day. You get to start over
Mhm.
with what you and then you get cool knives. I mean, so
Hopefully.
well, I mean, I think based off the fact your Kickstarter is fully funded, so
Yeah.
your first one's a home run, I would say.
Yeah.
So
I was so
you've got
grateful for the support I got.
you've got a great start. So I feel like that's going to be an awesome thing, and I'm sure that I can speak for everyone that is like looking forward to the continued progress and continued stuff. Not saying that this is a work in progress. This is a great product, but like continued progress and more items that we may be seeing. Because
Yeah.
now I've gotten sitting like there's stuff coming that I'm like super curious about.
Yeah.
All right, Kat, sit down. She's
No,
like
yeah, I get what you're saying. It's
Mhm.
it's not a work in progress, but in a way it is. It totally is, Like that's a finished
Right.
product, but the processes we use to get there are still
Mhm.
improving, you know.
We are the work in progress. And then what we
Yeah,
create
yeah,
is like the milestones in our progress kind of thing. It's probably the
definitely.
best thing.
Yeah.
But well, Matt, this has been an awesome conversation. I have
Yeah,
really,
this has been great.
yeah, I have really appreciated having you on and everything. And just hearing your thoughts and everything. I think that it's it's going to be an awesome ride continuing to watch and everything.
Yep.
Obviously, we're going to continue to interact because we're both in the Moon Crew and everything, and
Yep.
active there. And I think that I think it's probably safe to say that there's a good possibility that like a Blade show is in my future at some point. I don't know when, but
It
it's
should
up
be. It
there.
should be. Yeah.
Now it's just I just got to figure out when kind of thing.
Yeah.
But awesome. Well, as we're kind of like closing up, if people are like looking, we're like, hey, I want to follow Matt, support him. How do people find you, or where can they find you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you so much for having me, by the way.
Oh,
So I'm
absolutely, man.
Matt Fitz Designs on Instagram. That's really, well, Matt Fitz Designs on Facebook as well. I'm in the Moon
Hmm.
Crew. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, I also, I didn't really mention this. I don't know. This is probably a temporary thing. I'm kind of running the NAFS Instagram social media right now too. So
Oh,
if
okay.
you send NAFS a message, chances are I'll get it as well. But I do
Okay.
try to post some behind the scenes on my personal design account. So if you want to
Mm,
hear a little bit more about how stuff at NAFS gets made, that's a good place to go.
awesome. So I was gonna say I have to make sure that I follow you. My Instagram is similar. I'm trying. I'm trying to figure out like branding now for what I'm doing with this with the Substack and YouTube and everything. It's a
Yeah.
and like trying to like figure out like logos and stuff like that. That's a whole different thing. So
Whole world. Yep.
it is another that's another work in progress. But
Yeah.
awesome, man. Well, as we're hitting the stop on the record again, got those of you guys that are listening to us, thanks for tuning into this. If you like this, go show Matt some love on his stuff there. Buy the OCT when it's out available for purchase. And if you share this video, like, comment, subscribe, the whole 7 yards. But thank you guys for listening. Until next time.